Hello, Internet. Holy shit, this has been quite a week. First of all, thank you so much to everyone for your overwhelming support of our 8-year-old video of Irving Berlin's When That Man Is Dead and Gone. Your response has been truly overwhelming in the best possible way, and just so glad that it's bringing you hope and joy during these times, because that is very much our mission as a band. So I figured that since so many of you are new here and you are probably wondering who the hell this random ass swing band is that suddenly popped up on your algorithm, that we would introduce ourselves. So my name is Lizzy, and I'm the band leader and lead singer and composer of Lizzy and the Triggermen. We are a band that has been around for about 10 years, and we are still very active. We tour around the country and hopefully soon around the world. From that video, you can probably get a pretty good sense of our vibe as a band. We like to do songs, about fun things like catchy little ditties about the world ending, or corporate greed, or telling off your gaslighting piece of shit ex. Witches, very pro-witch at Lizzy and the Triggermen. You notice a certain theme to the kind of stuff that we perform. It's basically not a lot of love songs. Although I say that realizing that we are actually doing a big Valentine's Day show in which we will, I promise, actually be performing a lot of love songs. And if you hire us for your wedding, which we do weddings, we will do love songs. Unless you want us to sing some badass anti-Hitler song, in which case, you do you. But point is, in general, if you come to one of our shows, you hear a whole bunch of swinging songs about the heavy stuff. That's kind of our thing. So welcome. So I figured that since so many of you are new to our music, I would tell you, kind of walk you through some of our catalog to get you up to speed. Our first album is called Good Songs for Bad Times. And also thank you so much to everybody who has purchased our music on our website, and merch and posters, and that means so much, and it really goes a long way to support us, because as you can imagine, as a 10-piece band in 2026, our overhead is kind of crazy. So we released our first album in spring of 2020, and that was planned way before we knew what was actually going to happen in spring of 2020. So this is an album that was all wrapped, done, ready, uploaded by fall of 2019. The album was called Good Songs for Bad Times, and it was slated to be released in April of 2020. I mean, kind of crazy. There has been a bit of a trend with this band of some eerie, kind of witchy premonition stuff that with some of our music. I don't know what that's about, but just putting that out there. This was our first album. We'd already been together as a band for several years at this point. My whole thing was I really wanted us to be just putting on great live shows and not trying to chase the algorithm, kind of doing things the opposite way. Like, I didn't want to just throw a bunch of music out. I wanted instead to just be creating these shows where you had to come see us to hear us. And that kind of worked. Like, we ended up actually headlining and selling out some really major venues before we'd even put out any music. But finally, I was like, okay, it's time to put out music. And we had a whole game plan, and we had shows and tours, and we were gonna play South by Southwest, and it was all slated for spring of 2020. And we all know what happened in spring of 2020. Our fancy publicists that we had hired at the time were like, don't release music. This is not the time to release music. But our album was called Good Songs for Bad Times, and we had a song on our 6-track album that was an original song that I wrote called Dance Song for the End of the World. And in this song, and again, this was all wrapped and done way before the pandemic. In this song, at the very beginning of the song, we sample a real BBC radio broadcast from World War II telling people that they can no longer gather in large groups for the purposes of entertainment. Okay.
All gatherings for purposes of entertainment and amusement are prohibited until further notice. People are earnestly requested not to crowd together unnecessarily in any circumstances.
Hey, have you heard the news? The world's about to end and we got nothing to lose. 5 minutes left and we'll all be toast. so let's toast.
Eerie, right? And the song just seemed like it was about the pandemic, even though I swear to God, I wrote it years before. It had nothing to do with that. And so I was like, you know what? I know this is a bad time to release music because we can't tour, but like this music is so relevant to what's happening right now that it feels, sorry, my eyelash is not eyelashing. Anyway, it feels like the perfect time to release. So we decided to release it anyway, and that song ended up going kind of viral, our first viral. I mean, this new one is even more viral than that one, but it was our first kind of like viral moment, and we got like, you know, a whole bunch of views on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, and we got some like international press, and people were just really vibing with the song, and it gave them a lot of like hope and joy during another dark period of our recent history. And yeah, it was great. And we did this whole music video, which y'all can see on YouTube, where we asked people to record themselves dancing to the song in lockdown, and this was like the very beginning of lockdown, and people just came up with the most unbelievably creative stuff. And we got videos from people all over the world, and from some of the top pro swing dancers, and then just some, you know, people who are not dancers at all, but just really creative videos. My cornet player at the time, my trumpet player at the time, actually filmed himself like in a tux dancing on a roof. Crazy, but also amazing. I'm glad I did not know that in advance, and please do not try that at home. But yeah, anyway, so that was kind of our first like breakout song, and the album ended up charting number 3 on iTunes Jazz charts, which is crazy because we're just like this unsigned indie swing band, and suddenly like the jazz charts are like Miles Davis, Kamasi Washington, and Lizzy and the Triggermen, and it was like, what is happening? So let me just talk you through this album. So this is a 6-track EP, technically, but like an album, and I know it's not that many tracks, but let me tell you, as a 10-piece band, you know, we go into a real recording studio, and we're all in a room, and you know, we're doing things old school. It's a lot of time and money just to do a six-track EP. So, and also, you know, I only wanted to put on here what I thought was like really, really excellent. And I love this album. So, first track is an original called Out of Your League. And this one's become kind of a calling card for the band. Like, people come to the shows to hear this song. We did a show in Seattle recently, and this group of women literally took a boat to the show to hear this song. And I was like, whoa, that's cool. Yeah, it's just a great tell-off song. Maybe someday I'll tell you who I wrote that song about. It's kind of juicy. It's like a Hollywood person. Maybe I'll spill the tea. Maybe I won't. Who knows? Yeah, it's just a great tell-off song. Got some good lines in it. It's actually one of my favorite lyrics that I ever wrote is in the song. A couple of my favorite lyrics. One is, you showed me so many red flags, I thought you were a matador. Should have shown you the door, but I didn't. Love that line. And then in the bridge section, there's a reference to Icarus that I think is kind of clever. For so long you made me feel, honey, I was the lucky one. But now I see you're just Icarus and I'm the mighty sun. So shout out to all my fellow nerds out there, because I love doing nerdy references in my songs.
For so long you made me feel, honey, I was the lucky one. But now I see you're just Icarus, and I'm the mighty sun. Oh, I'm the mighty sun, 'cause I had your leave.
Okay, second track, Someday. Now listen, for the most part, I avoid us doing any like modern pop, like redos of modern pop songs, because obviously our friends at Postmodern Jukebox have that lane very well covered, and we do not need to encroach upon that. And also, like, we're sort of a different thing. Like, we mostly do pretty like deep cut, obscure old songs, and then a lot of original music. But I had this idea for a cool reimagining of Someday, and actually that turned out to be like just a really swinging, great tune. We have a great music video of that features a bunch of killer swing dancers that we work with, and we love swing dancers. And if you come out to one of our shows, you will see that there's often a lot of swing dancers in our audience, and sometimes we even offer swing dance lessons before our shows, and it's a whole vibe. And then track number 3, Weed Smoker's Dream, one of my favorite tunes that we do. You probably know the song from its radio-friendly version, which is called Why Don't You Do Right? So it's the same chords, same melody, but very different lyrics. So we do the real song, the original song, which the Harlem Handfats wrote. It's called Weed Smoker's Dream, and it's a super, super relevant, but very deep song about like economic inequality and like, you know, it's referencing like millionaires in this song, but I mean, the exact same lyrics would be written about billionaires now. But it's a lot of observations about wealth inequalities and stuff that we're dealing with today. It's really about some deep shit. And of course, the music industry took this really deep, wonderful song and turned it into this silly song about a woman nagging a guy because he's not making enough money. Which is Why Don't You Do Right? So in my opinion, that song sucks. But the original song, Weed Smoker's Dream, and I urge you to check out Harlem Handfats' version. It's amazing. Our version is definitely very inspired by theirs, but ours goes off in a different direction. Track number 4, Eve's Lament, another original song. I wrote this one. I write all of our original music. This one was actually the first song that I ever wrote for the band, and it's really kind of the first song I ever wrote, period, because I before I did the band, I was a screenwriter in Hollywood and actress, and so I was doing a lot of writing. I was creating like TV shows for HBO and Legendary and CBS, and so I was doing some cool stuff. Got a couple Emmy nominations for my show, but I was not writing songs. I did have a musical background. My background is opera, more on that later, but Eve's Lament was the first song I wrote for the band, and I actually wrote the lyrics first, which I never do that now. That's not normally how I write, but for that song I did. And I'd say lyrically, that's probably, of the songs that are released that I've written, that's probably lyrically like my best work, I think. So Eve's Lament is a retelling of the Adam and Eve story from Eve's perspective. And yeah, I think that one's pretty great. It's another really fun one to perform live. So track number 5 is the inauspicious dance song for the end of the world, which is, despite its title, is I think a pretty joyous tune. So fun little trivia about that one. That song was never meant to be on the album. It was one of those things where we never performed that song live. We performed it once. It was just like not a song that we played. And this was gonna be our first album, so I really wanted to put out songs that we were kind of known for at our shows. And we had a little bit of extra time at the studio, and let me tell you, this stuff costs so much money that like any little amount of time at the studio, I'm like, we're not wasting it, folks. We're gonna play something. And I'm like, well, what could we record that we haven't already recorded? And I'm like, well, we could record Dance Song. And it's like, what? That random song that we never perform? And it's like, yes, because we have extra studio time and I'm paying for this. So let's try it. So the band I think we only did one take of that song. If we did 2 takes, that's it. But my memory is we only did 1 take of the song. And the band just freaking nailed it in the studio. I mean, when I listened back to just the instrumental of that song, I was like, this is just fire. And I thought, oh shit, I didn't actually have any intention of putting this on the album, but I think this is like actually one of our best tracks. It was a surprise tune to even end up on the album, and then even more surprised, obviously, that became the like breakout star of the album. And then the last tune, the palate cleanse, but also the sort of like heavenly coda at the end of the album, is Translucency, which is this very obscure Duke Ellington song that he wrote for an opera singer. I told you I was going to get back to that whole little opera singer trivia about me. So Duke Ellington wrote this in the early 40s for an opera singer named Kay Davis, who toured with them. And the song is Translucency, and I believe the subtitle is A Fog You Can Almost See Through. But it was written for an opera singer to sing with the band as like another instrument. So it's all vocalies. It's not any lyrics. And the voice just sort of floats over the band, almost like a flute or a clarinet. And it's just a really hip, cool song that's got this really sexy groove under it and nobody performs this. I mean, you think When That Man Is Dead and Gone is an obscure deep cut tune. Let me tell you, Deep Translucency is even more so. But since I happen to be a former opera singer, it was kind of like, well, what the hell, let's give it a shot. And it ended up becoming one of my favorite of our songs to perform, even though it's very, very, very hard to perform live. It is a very hard song. But yeah, so that's the last track, and I just think it's just such a beautiful but also really sexy grooving song. So that's our debut album, and I want to do a follow-up video to talk about our most recent album, Live at Joe's Pub, which again, thank you all so much for everybody who has purchased one or even both of our albums. It's incredible. It's really, really means a lot. This video is already getting long though, so I'm going to break it up to another video where I will talk about our other album, because we gotta keep feeding this algorithm, right? I don't know. Listen, I'm a total Luddite. I don't know what I'm doing. I am just trying to ride the wave here. But in all seriousness, welcome. Welcome to the Triggermen fam. We are really happy to have you. Our entire mission as a band is, as I said, to bring hope and joy during dark times and to also create connection. We tour around the country and we're trying to line up more shows, and thank you all so much for those who have made suggestions of other places that we should hit up. We would love to come your way. But please, if you haven't already, sign up for our mailing list, because, you know, these platforms are sketchy. You know, you never know when like some person is going to come in and buy it and then make it an unfriendly platform for all of us, if you understand what I'm saying. If you want to keep in touch, the best way to do that is to get on our mailing list so we can just cut out the middlemen and be directly in touch with each other. And we would love to have you come to our shows, because as much as I'm so glad that you all are digging our 8-year-old video, we're a lot more fun in person, I promise you that. It is a lot of fun to be at one of our shows. We are constantly lining up more shows and very much would love to come your way. In the meantime, thank you so much for spreading the word about us. You know, swing music is about resistance. It came from resistance, and it came from very eerily similar times to the ones that we are living in now. And it's music that is unafraid to tackle tough topics, but it's also turns those topics into these catchy, wonderful, joyous dance songs to help recharge our spirits so that we can get through them. And we will get through them. There's always been these periods of time, history, where it seems like the darkness is prevailing, but you know what always outlasts the darkness? Swing music. So let's just keep our collective sanity, keep our collective humanity, and thank you, welcome. Mwah.